Hello, and welcome to season 4 of the State of Healthcare podcast. I can't believe it's actually season 4. I feel like we've just gotten started, and to be honest, we are just barely scratching the surface of so many issues in healthcare, or just even things that I feel like people should know about. This season, we are talking about autoimmune disorders, the not so hidden epidemic. For so long, these have been labeled a diagnosis as exclusion, right? So many people were seen as crazy, or they just, were whining about these things that people were like, oh, just push through it. But I feel like now we are starting to realize that so many more people have this, whether we're better at diagnosing or more people are having these particular disorders occurring. It could be a combo. That's what we're going to discuss and try to look into this season. So if you've ever felt like you have this cluster of symptoms, or you don't know what's going on, or you feel like your body is even fighting itself, feel free to tune in. This is kind of a learning process. It's learning how to modulate your flares, learning what that is, where can you get help. So come with me on this journey. Autoimmune disorders, the not so hidden epidemic. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the State of Healthcare podcast. We are resuming season 4, and we are continuing our talk about autoimmune. So I have Sari with me today, and I'm actually going to let her give a little bit of history of your business and what you do and all that kind of stuff.
Sounds good. Thanks, Tracy. Thanks for the opportunity. So my name is Sari Lewis, and I am an occupational therapist by degree. I work in a field that is considered to be a little bit alternative or complementary care, but I still use my functional background as an occupational therapist. So just a little background of how I got to where I am. When I was 14, I went to a college preparatory high school, and they took us into the counselor's office within the first couple months of school. And at age 14, I chose occupational therapy as my degree. So not too many people who choose a career at age 14 and fast forward
are still doing it.
Lots of decades, still doing it. That gave me an opportunity to work in a lot of different settings. And one of the most interesting things was that when I first moved here, I started to work at Phoenix General Hospital. And Phoenix General Hospital has since gone away, but it was a DO hospital. And when I moved here, I didn't even know what a DO was. And so it's really interesting because a lot of osteopaths are the ones who founded and came up with the techniques and principles of craniosacral therapy. So it kind of come around the circle, full circle. In the interim, I did contract work in hospitals, and I did rehab work, and I did hand therapy for a long time. I did medical sales, which gave me an opportunity to visit all my favorite friends and give them lunch and call it business. And also gave me a lot of good experience with using those tools. So fast forward, I guess not very far from where I started, managed care started to come around in terms of insurance. And managed care, for those of you who have not really experienced anything other than managed care, ruined the healthcare system for providers because they basically started tying our hands and saying, this is what you can do, this is what you can't do. As an occupational therapist, I was told in one of my final jobs as an OT that I could work with people from the elbow down. And if there was something going on in their body above the elbow, they had to go back to the doctor, get a new prescription, come back and see a physical therapist, separate chart, separate visit, separate billing, separate everything. And because they were being limited for how many visits they could have, now they're using up their visits with 2 different practitioners. So the system didn't work for me. I literally did not like having my hands tied and being told that the person was not a whole person.
As a side note, on a complete thing, if you can't tell from a practitioner standpoint, we have our own issues with insurance. So I completely get that, because it reminded me of working with a patient who was there for elbow pain. And I said, I think it's coming from the shoulder. And they're like, you're supposed to treat the elbow. And I'm like, they're quite literally connected.
Yes.
So anyway, as you were, sorry, just when you said that, I was like, oh, I get it.
Yes, absolutely. So at that point, I thought, if I can't treat people body, mind, and spirit, maybe I can't be an occupational therapist anymore.
Right.
And how sad would that be to choose a profession that I loved at age 14 and have to leave it because of something beyond my control?
Somebody who doesn't understand healthcare is dictating how you should perform healthcare.
Yes.
I'll say it. I'll let you be nice.
No, I absolutely agree. And it's been such a long time since I've dealt with that directly that I've probably lost some of the angst over it. Every once in a while now, I still have clients who will request information to be able to bill their insurance.
Right.
And I will give them a super bill, one copy of it. I say, make your own photocopies and good luck to you. I'm not providing documentation. I'm not speaking with your insurance company. I'm not doing anything other than providing the great care that I provide. So anyway, at that point, I had a colleague who I would visit when I was doing sales, and she always seemed to be able to help me if I walked in with a little headache or a little neck pain or a little something. And literally, just within moments, she'd put her hands on me, everything would get nice and quiet, and I would feel better. So I approached her and I said, hey, what are you doing? Can we do it together?
Right.
And what she was doing was craniosacral therapy.
Okay.
So because it wasn't complicated enough to be an occupational therapist that always has to explain what I do and why it's not just working with people's jobs and why I'm not a physical therapist, et cetera, et cetera. Now I chose to complicate my career by being a craniosacral therapist that many people not only have never heard of, but they can't even say. So
yes.
Somewhere inside me is some kind of masochist.
You know what? You want to fight the things, but sometimes that is it, finding that niche, right? And the thing is, though, I do always end up finding people who are looking for that, right? Who have heard about it. So what is craniosacral?
So when I first partnered with this physical therapist in our practice and started training with her and then taking courses, the thing that got me most was that there were a lot of techniques I was already doing instinctively,
right?
But I didn't have a name for.
Okay.
So, for example, when I was told you can't treat above the elbow, but I could tell in someone's body that it was coming from higher up, I would have to find a way into their system. Sometimes it meant just pulling on their pinky finger and getting the tension in their pinky finger that allowed me to help them release all the way up to their neck.
Nice. Okay.
So it was really nice to have a vocabulary to go along with some of the techniques that I was already kind of instinctively doing.
Right.
Then I learned techniques first. So I did upledger craniosacral therapy, which is most commonly known, and that's the biomechanical model.
Okay.
In the biomechanical model, you're working to mobilize the bones in the skull.
Okay.
And then also working with the sacrum. So cranio being the head, sacrum being the tail, right above the tailbone. So there's a system that they call a semi-hydraulic system where the fluid that's produced in the brain travels around the brain and up and down the spinal cord. In craniosacral therapy, you can feel different rhythms of that fluid.
Okay.
In different teachings and styles of craniosacral therapy, even within the models of craniosacral therapy, some of the terms are different.
Okay.
Even working with some of the rhythms is different.
Okay.
So what resonated with me early on was the ability to help people to really relax and release from the inside out. So unlike traditional types of therapy, including chiropractic, traditional
physical
PT,
therapy, right?
Massage, these are external to internal modalities where something's being done to change something.
Right.
With craniosacral therapy, we're trying to create the environment in the space, in the person, in the relationship that feels safe enough for them to release from the inside out. So getting more to the core of what the problems are. As I moved forward, I had an opportunity to study biodynamic craniosacral therapy. And in biodynamics, we work a lot with the history of embryology.
Okay.
And work a lot with the slow rhythms of that cerebrospinal fluid. So, for example, in biomechanical craniosacral therapy, they work with something called the cranial rhythmic impulse. And that impulse or that rhythm is about 10 to 12 seconds. Okay. So it takes 10 to 12 seconds for the fluid to go from the brain down to the end of the spinal cord with a little pause and then a return. Okay. So there are different rhythms that can be palpated. So there's that first rhythm. The second rhythm is called the mid-tide. And the mid-tide is about 25 seconds. So from the head down to the end of the sacrum, a pause, and then back. In my schooling and practice, my training is that that rhythm is
Uh-huh.
also the rhythm of conception,
Oh.
birth,
Uh-huh.
and trauma.
Okay.
So if an
Uh-huh.
inexperienced practitioner is working in a fast rhythm,
Uh-huh.
they could stir a pot that they didn't know how to calm down.
Okay.
That being said, I learned and use what is called sometimes the long tide or
Uh-huh.
primary respiration.
Okay.
And that takes almost a minute, 48 to 50 seconds for that fluid to go down
Uh-huh.
the spine and back up again.
Okay.
And I've heard that if you go out someplace where they're not civilized,
Uh-huh.
that you can't even find that fastest rhythm in those people.
Oh.
So
Uh-huh.
my theory and that of others who think like me is that that fast rhythm has adapted to our fast lifestyles.
Uh-huh.
We
Yeah.
already live in a fast lifestyle. Why would we want to be working with fast?
Right.
Or why would we want to be working with something that could induce trauma instead of creating a really safe, calm safety net for people to explore?
Okay.
So I'll have clients who will say, well, I'm really used to doing messy work, and it often takes me days after my session to be able to function,
Uh-huh.
things like that. And I say, I might be able to recommend somebody for you,
Right.
but that's not really a good fit for my practice
Right.
because we're working with a pond,
Uh-huh.
and I will help you or let you dip your toes in the pond.
Right.
I will not let you jump into the pond. I
Uh-huh.
will not push you in the pond.
Right.
So working the edges feels safe
Uh-huh.
and calm. And safety is probably one of the primary aspects of my practice.
Okay. Do you feel like in the world as we get crazier and faster in these technology that you've been experiencing people with more of that trauma or more of that where you have to just because I think probably for me a lot of times for people it's just hard to find a place to feel safe, right?
Mhm.
To actually like let go.
Yeah, or to even know
Mhm.
what safety feels like.
Yeah,
I
so it's
will
probably
I
that.
will admit
Mhm.
when I first started my biodynamic training, because the sessions are so quiet, so slow, so still, that I was very antsy.
Okay.
There were a lot of sessions where I said, I gotta go. And I
Uh-huh.
literally got off the table. Sometimes I had to go and like take a quick little walk or a jog
Okay.
just to get out of there because I just got so
Mhm.
anxious and I really didn't know what it felt like to be safe.
Right.
In the early classes, we would do, a lecture and then a demonstration, and now it's time to do a trade.
Right.
And I would always volunteer to be the first practitioner with my partner, with the thought that if we ran out of time, that would be okay. Because I didn't need the session as much as I wanted to give the sessions.
Okay.
So learning to receive the sessions, learning how to experience safety were so crucial in my healing and my journey as a practitioner
Right.
that they are the highest priority for me now.
That's really interesting because I feel like sometimes we're just getting bombed, right? You're getting like pam, pam, pam. So to actually help where someone would, I think that is it. We don't know how to feel safe.
Yeah,
To
exactly.
let that down.
So back to your question about trauma.
Right.
So I will say that most definitely since COVID,
Uh-huh.
I have seen a significant increase in anxiety, in
Okay.
people labeling their anxiety, in children
Oh.
with anxiety.
Right.
And I think one of my biggest complaints in my field and in the world right now is that we are so trauma focused
Okay.
that everything's about trauma. I feel like every email that I get about a continuing education opportunity
Trauma.
has to do with trauma. And if it's not your own trauma, it might be your familial trauma, or it might be your generational trauma, or it might be the trauma of the world or the universe or whatever. And I think that it just keeps stirring people up instead of calming people down.
So it's actually creating the problem. It's talking about helping.
Yes.
So.
And then, of course, in anything where celebrities start to get involved, then we have something altogether different. So, for example, in the past handful or so of years, there are now vagus nerve stimulators.
Yes.
So, for those who don't know about the vagus nerve, just briefly, we've always had one. There's 12 cranial nerves. They go to eyes, nose, mouth, balance, things like that. That 10th cranial nerve, the vagus nerve, sounds like Las Vegas, spelled VAGUS. That nerve, in its most basic form, helps us to rest and digest. But it's so much more than that because there are different branches of the nerve. And so it definitely relates to safety.
Okay.
And interacts with most of our organs.
Okay.
So vagus means wandering because it's the longest nerve in the body.
Okay.
So it starts up in the brainstem, travels down around our ears, through our throat space, right here, into heart space, lung space, and then branches out into the organs.
Okay.
So it's responsible for a lot of things. And it's gotten notoriety recently because people are developing products to stimulate the vagus nerve. So you can see those products all over the place.
Okay.
There are definitely pros and cons of the devices. The biggest pro is that it's something that people can do for themselves,
right,
to help tone the vagus nerve. So I think the vagus nerve is a little bit counterintuitive because I would have thought that if you're feeling really anxious, your nerve must be all
right.
Well, that's not the case at all. What it means is your nerve's undertoned.
Okay.
So the analogy is that you've been sitting on a couch doing nothing.
Okay.
You can't jump off that couch and go run a marathon.
Right.
You've got to just do little things to get toned. So again, if you haven't been to the gym ever, you're not going to go to the gym and do 60 reps of 400 pounds.
Right.
You're going to go in and do a few reps and build yourself up. And that's the same with the vagus nerve. So the more that we work on toning it, the healthier and stronger the vagus nerve is, the more regulated our body is overall.
To help us do the rest and the other things that we probably shut it off because we're so busy in fight or flight, I would assume.
Exactly. And so if you feel like there's a tiger behind you, you're not going to be, even you, Tracy, would not be like, I need some sweets.
Maybe.
Maybe. I need some sweets to give me energy to run away from the tiger.
But yes.
But technically,
and technically you're like ready to run from the tiger.
Right. So you're not going to feel hungry. You're not going to digest. You're certainly not going to say, I think I'm going to nap now and then I'll take care of this tiger later.
Right.
So the problem right now is that people feel like the tiger is there all the time.
Every email, every text message.
Even when the tiger's not there. So our systems are designed to deal with the tiger.
Right.
See the tiger, deal with the tiger, calm down and relax, resume your life.
Right.
But we don't know that.
Right.
Well, we do.
Right.
Because thank goodness the tiger's not always following me anymore. But I will admit, I had a tiger for a good long time. So the vagus nerve stimulating devices, again, are designed to give a little bit of toning.
Okay.
They can be abused. People can use them too much, which now you're going to overstimulate. Now you've made the vagus nerve work harder than it feels comfortable, and you're going to give yourself symptoms.
Now you gave yourself an imbalance the other way.
Yes, exactly. Okay. It's not as likely, but it can definitely happen.
Okay.
And some of the devices out there, for example, go down here and apply a little bit of stimulation that goes right here. Okay. Well, the vagus nerve goes right through this sheath. There's a muscle, the sternocleidomastoid muscle, this big, thick muscle
down
here.
In the front of the neck.
And so where the muscle is and where the carotid artery are is the same sheath that the vagus nerve lives in.
Okay.
So when you're stimulating down here, in my estimation, you're also stimulating the carotid. And do we need to?
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
The other thing is many of the devices are tied to an app on their phone because, of course, there's an app for everything.
Right. Yeah.
So the problem with having an app on your phone for a device that's designed to calm your nervous system is you've got to pick up your phone, get into the app. Now, if you manage to pick up your phone and get into the app and use your stimulator without seeing, oh my gosh, I just had 15 texts and 7 emails. Good on you.
Yeah.
But, the chances of having that distraction are high.
Right.
Also, I don't really like for people to sleep with their phone in their bedroom anyway. So if somebody is sleeping and they wake up and they can't go back to sleep and they want to use their device, now they've got to expose themselves to their blue lights and the app and the distractions and everything just to use the device.
Okay.
So my preference is a smaller, more portable device that is one-sided stimulation so that you can stimulate a little at a time to strengthen that nerve.
where it would come almost be like right into that ear. And
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
The device that I work with, there's a company that actually is local.
Uh-huh.
The founder of the company was a golfer and he
Okay.
was getting the yips. So if you
Okay.
don't know what the yips are, it's every
Uh-huh.
time you try to concentrate on something, you just get startled and you can't do it. And that doesn't work very well when you're trying to hit a little ball with
Mhm.
a pole. So he started doing research about
Uh-huh.
vagus nerve stimulation and he got a grant.
Oh.
And he and a few colleagues had a
Uh-huh.
couple of 3D printers
Uh-huh.
and they started building these devices by
Okay.
hand.
Mm-hmm.
They sent out a press release when he got the grant, and for who knows why,
Uh-huh.
I saw the press release. And
Okay.
in the press release, it said, if you're interested in vagus nerve stimulation, give us your email.
Okay.
Fast forward maybe 2 years.
Uh-huh.
So I certainly had forgotten about it. And I got
Right.
a message saying, hey, are you still interested?
Oh,
So
well,
I had an opportunity to be among 10 practitioners here in town that were early adopters
the ground
of these devices.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to beta test all their devices, give them input. I feel really fortunate to have actually given input into some of the programs that they're using.
Right.
Because in addition to being able to stimulate the vagus nerve, you can
Mm-hmm.
stimulate at the wrist,
Okay.
at the nausea points for acupuncture
Uh-huh.
in order to decrease nausea.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You can stimulate here at the side of the jaw, which
Uh-huh.
goes to the trigeminal nerve, which innervates a whole bunch of the face to
Uh-huh.
help with jaw pain. Or you can stimulate up here
Uh-huh.
on your head
Mm-hmm.
for headache. So there's a lot of uses for one that's small and portable that
Uh-huh.
way. And again, I believe that most people need just one side to be stimulated at a
Okay.
time, at least until they build up a little bit more strength and tolerance and tone in their vagus nerve.
Do you recommend them switching sides, like to do one and then the next time stimulate the other side? Or
Sometimes people will do both sides,
Mhm.
little short durations. When I get people started, I start them with 1 to 2 minutes
Okay.
total,
Uh-huh.
maybe 1 to 2 minutes on each side.
Okay.
And then most people develop a favorite side where they can just catch the nerve more easily, or it feels more
Okay.
comfortable, or that arm is more
Mhm.
comfortable, or something like that.
What is the name of the company or the device that you go
The
through?
device that I use is called Hoolist.
Okay.
So the owner, his last name is Hool,
Okay.
Hool. So it's HOOLEST.
Uh-huh.
They also have a headphone,
Okay.
and the headphone has little 3D printed outcroppings that have the electrodes in it to stimulate
Okay.
bilaterally. So the benefit of that is that you can be hands-free,
Okay.
and it also has Bluetooth involved.
Uh-huh.
So you could put on some meditation music or something like that at the same time and be hands-free.
Okay.
Again, I still recommend that people start with one side at a time.
Okay.
So the other thing about stimulating with that device and some of the others, when you're stimulating here behind the ear, if you reach behind the ear and you feel where that little divot is, you can kind of even massage around it a little bit, and it might make you feel like yawning.
Okay.
Or taking a big breath because you're stimulating that nerve a little bit.
Okay.
That part of the nerve is called the posterior auricular branch of the vagus nerve. Because I like these long things like occupational therapy and craniosacral.
Yeah.
All that means is the part of the vagus nerve that's behind the ear.
Okay.
That part of the vagus nerve sends a message upstream to the brainstem where the vagus nerve begins. And now we send a message downstream through the entire nerve and through the entire system.
Right. So it's better to catch it where it can like trickle.
That's
You don't have to like.
That's what I feel. So when you stimulate behind here with the device, you feel a little tickle that kind of goes around your ear, and it doesn't even have to be turned up high.
Okay.
And the device, for a lot of you, I'm sure, are familiar with what a TENS unit is.
Right. The little electric stem.
Yeah, it's a TENS unit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of the reason why they were able to get it approved by the FDA so quickly, because it's not a new waveform. It's just a different use for the same waveform.
So same precautions then, like no pacemaker stuff or things like that.
No pacemaker, no pregnancy.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, with that device, that comfort is nice.
Right.
There are other devices that either hook to this part of your ear or onto your earlobe.
Okay.
And universally, I've heard from clients that it degrades the skin.
Oh, okay.
It feels pinchy and breaks down the skin and makes them not want to use it.
Well, and I would almost recommend if someone got it that maybe they do book like a session and have you actually go through to make sure that they're using it properly or right, or work with a practitioner.
They can do
Mhm.
that. There's also, the company has tons of YouTube videos and
Mhm.
instructional videos and things like that.
Okay.
So you can easily access that. I have a page called Vagus Nerve Resources.
Okay.
I have another page called Mr. Vagus Nerve, who I'd like to introduce you to.
Yes. And again, we'll always share like all the resources. So look for links in the podcast. But yes.
So as I was telling this story over and over again about a little guy sitting on the couch who hadn't been off the couch for ages, and that he had to just get off the couch and get moving. And the more he started moving, the healthier he started to feel. I told the story so many times. And finally, I told the story to a client who used to be in advertising.
Okay.
And she knew a guy. She knew a guy.
Right.
A storyboard artist. And this guy, Christophe Jeannot, Christoph has worked for really big accounts. He's worked for things like Audi and Chase Bank and Disney.
Right.
And he had time between projects for little me.
Oh.
And I sent him a paragraph about Mr. Vagus Nerve. Now, I knew I wanted to call him Mr. Vagus Nerve. Sent him this paragraph, and he sent back a sketch that was just adorable. And I fell in love with the character. And we developed the character together.
Nice.
And we've worked together and continued to develop. He's got some other activities that he does. So on the Mr. Vagus Nerve page, remember again, it's VAGUS. Mr. Vagus Nerve, no period or anything like that.com, will tell his story about how he became a superhero. Because as he regained his health, he wanted to share what was successful for him. So as he started to get out and do things, including humming and gargling and some of the other common things that people know, he also started to do yoga. He started to meditate. And right now, his activities are continuing, and his journey is continuing as well.
I mean, I read your newsletter, but briefly talk about the humming and the gargling.
Okay, so when we hum, and you can all try it at home, we can't hear you. If you hum, you create a vibration, and that vibration right here in this area stimulates the vagus nerve. Same thing if you tip your head back and you gargle, that gargling sensation is going to stimulate the vagus nerve.
Similarly in that same area where you would be stimulating it with the machine.
Exactly. Putting some ice on your wrists can also help to stimulate the vagus nerve and calm the nervous system. Again, everything that we're doing to stimulate is to tone the vagus nerve to calm the nervous system.
So it sounds counterintuitive, right?
Exactly.
Like I'm stimulating something to calm things down. But even on a note, 10's unit, similar concept, right? I'm stimulating things. So I'm not trying to make them contract, to block the receptors, to like calm things down so that I can do the stuff I need to do. So but I think people think that you're stimulating it to like activate your system, but I like the explanation. So
yeah. And I did see a meme the other day that said, never in the history of you need to calm down did anyone ever calm down by being told you need to calm down. Something like that.
Well, so Ty, I know you recently did like a YouTube or a thing where you were talking about tying in the vagus nerve with MCAS or some form of autoimmune. And again, that's kind of that's become the focus for this season just a little bit. I've noticed I keep seeing more and more cases, and either we're getting really good at diagnosing them or not even good at diagnosing, but starting to notice symptoms, or there's more people. So
that's a both kind of thing.
Okay.
So first of all, what we're talking about with MCAS is a mast cell activation.
Right.
The YouTube video that I did in the past was for a group called Mast Cell 360. And they provide resources, coaching and physicians for people who have been exposed, primarily for people who have been exposed to mold or their toxins. But truth be told, in the autoimmune world, it's a big primordial pool of toxic exposure to mold, Lyme disease, heavy metals, other pollutants, things that off gas, which could be paint, it could be carpet, it could be air conditioning units, all these different sorts of things, along with all of the other autoimmune diseases that we haven't even listed, is one big primordial pool of metabolic disorders. And currently our population is at least 80% ill. And the medical system focuses on illness,
not on prevention,
not on prevention, and not on solutions. So I don't know about you, I get clients who come into me with a list of diagnoses, and they're proud of them sometimes. It makes me sad that they have all these things that they want to own.
Right.
And they say, oh, well, I do have this, and I have this, and I have this. And I say, you know what? What you have inside you is perfect health. You might not feel perfectly healthy, but we all have perfect health. I actually told a client on her first visit, just routinely saying, you know, we all have perfect health inside us. And that's what we're seeking by allowing our bodies to calm down. I said, even people who are dying have perfect health within them. And the client started to cry. She said, do you think I'm dying?
Oh God. Oh gosh. Okay.
I said, no, of course not. I'm just trying to tell you that we all have perfect health, but people are so frightened and they're so overwhelmed. I mean, you know, if you look at the commercials on TV, if you happen to be watching TV, you know, all these commercials. Oh, have you ever had this symptom? Like, did you ever sneeze? Oh, you must have such and such a thing. Ask your doctor if you can have the drug that gives you way more side effects than the symptom you first had.
You know, again, I watched a comedian who's like, I'm watching TV and it's all, do you go to bed at night and get up in the morning? You know, he's like, yeah, I do. Oh my gosh. And again, we are a society that is like, here's a medication, here's a this, instead of looking for what can we do? Because it makes more money.
Sure. But when people are feeling ill, they can't be good thinkers and they can't be good advocates for themselves.
Because they're so busy just trying to survive.
So if they go to yet another doctor who says, oh yeah, in addition to this, you have that, now they just have more.
Right.
So part of the reason why I don't directly work with insurance companies is because the documentation required to deal with them with an insurance company, well, first of all, it's onerous. But second of all, what they want from me would be things having to do with anatomical alignment and which muscle and things like that. Well, that's not where the magic happens in craniosacral therapy. In craniosacral therapy, most of that magic's coming from my creative right side of my brain, of me getting still, calm, centered, and getting out of the way and allowing the wisdom of what's in people's bodies to come forth.
Now, do you have a large population of autoimmune or what? Or primarily? Okay, I had a feeling, but
I do. And that has grown tremendously. I almost fell into it accidentally. Early on in my career is when fibromyalgia first started to be diagnosed.
Right.
Everybody had fibromyalgia. Just like for a while, everybody had carpal tunnel syndrome. Everybody had, you know, we can go down the list of the things that we've experienced that everyone's had along the way. So with the autoimmune stuff and fibromyalgia, the idea was to treat it differently than what other people were doing. So we, again, almost accidentally fell into it because our reputation in my early days before I split off and had my own practice was that we were the place to go to when you'd been everywhere and not gotten the answers. So of course we were going to get complicated medical issues that we treated. In my private practice, which I've been in since 2020, oh my gosh, 2003.
Right. You're like, I don't want to talk about this. There's no.
Anyway, lots of experience.
Yeah.
Since I've been in my private practice, things started out probably leaning more toward headache, neck pain, just general relaxation and things. But over these years has definitely evolved into seeing a lot more people with autoimmune issues. And again, a ton of people with exposures. Now, we're all exposed all the time to toxins. It's just people have different tipping points. So sometimes they might have an underlying medical condition that doesn't even come to the surface until their exposure. So
that I agree, because I feel like there's always one moment of catharsis, right? Or something like you had this underlying condition and then this happened, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I have this. But you were functioning, and then now it's, you know, now your body's like, no.
So one of the things that I've found kind of frequently is in my clients who've had for example, mold exposure,
Mhm.
and they're really having a tough time. That mold has found its way into their brains. They're having seizures. They're, too tired. They have no emotion. They can't digest their foods. Their stomachs are just absolutely in like stop mode, things like that. What I'm finding is a lot of them, if I ask questions like, hey, were you particularly bendy as a child? And a lot of them are like, oh, yeah. Well, we could take that and automatically go, oh, you have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which means blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm not going to give somebody another diagnosis to have, but it's going to give me some insights into the fact that this is not a brand new thing. This is something that got tipped past. Same thing. I'm sure you've treated people in the past who've had not a lick of neck pain ever in their life. And they get into a low velocity car accident. And now they have really bad problems with their neck. And when they go to get imaging, they're told, oh, well, you have arthritis in your neck. And so now they get kind of blown off like, well, it's because of arthritis.
And we know the arthritis happened instantly in the car accident, right?
So the fact is that asymptomatic arthritis was there.
Yes.
But the car accident or the fall or whatever
is that
creates the
moment
tipping point.
No, and that is interesting because again, I am seeing people now who are in their 20s and 30s, but who have had that. They were very bendy. They were like, they realize, okay, or some of them are like, why has no one ever pointed out these things? But they've had this list of things that they've had to deal with. So there were signs, but it wasn't just, and their body was just figuring it out. And now there's moments where it's like, oh.
I was in a yoga class recently, and toward the end of the class, the instructor said, if you have a wrap, now will be the time for it. And I'm thinking, okay, he's not going like,
right.
Okay, it's not that kind of wrap. And I look to the left of me, and the two people to the left of me have just taken their feet and put them behind their head like this.
Okay.
So they look like little eggs. But what I had observed through the entire class with the woman to the left of me was that she was hyperextending everything. So she appeared to be
really
amazing
at
yoga. And the bottom line was she was not doing herself a favor because she was overextending the already too loose areas.
Right. So, and that's the hardest part, I think. And it's an area I'm starting to explore with a lot of clients is the hypermobility stuff, is that it's giving you that advantage, right? You're bendy, right? And again, just a side note, that's going to be coming in some more episodes. But now I know that. Very excited. I know it's so, I find it ironic. I was like, oh, you're right on the pathway with me. But I find it that now, like, they've just got this pain everywhere and all these things, and here's me trying to like, we have to learn how to use our muscles. And there's frustration, right? Because, we're retraining patterns. And they're like, I feel like, it's just, I've had a lot of clients express frustration that they have to learn how to move all over again. Whereas before it was almost celebrated, but I'm like, you were damaging these people.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, even earlier on in my career, I would be working with clients and trying to stretch a tight area.
Yeah.
And then I kind of have a sense that that area didn't really need stretching. It needed compressing. It needed some pressure. It needed something for stabilization.
Right.
And that was well before I ever even heard about Ehlers-Danlos, so it's been around.
Right.
It's just got a name now, which gives it a lot more attention.
Right.
Yeah.
But it is interesting because I talked with another practitioner who was talking about, a lot of times they feel this tightness, they're constantly stretching, but you never actually get relief because you're not actually doing the stabilizing and the things. And it sucks because people are like, well, it sucks that I have to do this. It does. I'm sorry. This is the body you have. We all have things. Let's learn how to get you the most optimized for yourself. So
sure. Well, and I see it a lot of times with my clients who have done chiropractic forever, and who are still doing it multiple times a week. And what happens a lot of times is they go in, they get an adjustment that feels like a good adjustment, but what's actually adjusting is probably the vertebra above and below the area that's restricted.
Right.
And so, of course, now those areas are going to start being hypermobile. So they're going to slide out of place. So every time you go in, they're going to get mobilized again because they were out of place.
Mhm.
But the real problem is that one in the middle that's
Mhm.
too tight, not the ones adjacent that are too loose.
Right. No, it's interesting because I have had clients where they're like, yeah, I feel good. But then I heard again in a couple of days, and I'm like, that means something's not working.
Right. I
You
mean, in
know?
order for things to keep pulling out, either they have to be too loose
Uh-huh.
or other structures are too tight and they're
Mhm.
pulling them out and they're just rebounding right out of their adjustment.
Right. And so I'm like, if you're having to have this, you're kind of repeating the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
So,
Or if someone goes to
Mhm.
a practitioner and they say, oh, every time I go to whatever,
Uh-huh.
I'm in more pain than when I got there,
Mhm.
or it lasts for 2 days or whatever, or I don't
Right.
notice it while I'm doing it,
Uh-huh.
but I'm suffering afterwards.
Right.
And the analogy I make is, how many times would you go to a restaurant where you got food poisoning?
Yeah. I mean, it does, it's hard because I remember working with a lady once and she goes, I didn't know I could do exercise where I wasn't in pain after. I want you to be sore. Like, I want you to feel like you did
Sure,
something. But if
exactly.
you're in pain, then like something has gone awry.
Sure. And especially if you're in joint pain.
Yes. So,
Yeah, muscular pain, we can celebrate that a little bit.
right.
We
Like,
all
okay,
probably
we've
need
done
to
some
push
trick
ourselves
or
a little bit
treat.
that way. Yeah.
So, but yeah, I was there, whoever the trainer or whatever they were working with was pushing them so hard that she was leaving in pain until 2 days later when she'd do it again, And
Yeah.
you're like, oh.
Well, and sometimes you do see trainers that are doing the
Mhm.
exact same exercises with all their clients, which
Mhm.
means they're not exactly customizing what they're doing for people.
Right. Yeah. And you're like, okay.
You might
Again,
as well do a group fitness class then at that point and pay less.
right. I know you get to hear us complaining about all the things that we see in healthcare, right? But
Yeah. But we've got years of experience to complain about.
that is, yeah, see,
and also to celebrate.
right.
Because again,
Mhm.
so not to be overly woo-woo about it, but
Right.
for me to be in my career for this amount of time and still wake up in the morning and be grateful for what I'm going to do and look
Uh-huh.
forward to what I do and to love my clients and love what I do is really, really, I mean, it's gratifying and I'm grateful every day.
No, and that's amazing. I'm glad that you're here and I'm glad that you're doing the things and I'm glad we Mr. Vegas Nerve doing things.
Speaking of Mr. Vegas Nerve,
right.
can I introduce him?
You can introduce
So
him.
I'd like to introduce him in his healthy form. I do have
Okay.
him in my office in many iterations. This
Mhm.
is his healthy form.
Right.
And in this form, you can see his ear is standing up.
Uh-huh.
If you go to the Mr. Vegas Nerve page, you'll see his very first image when he's sitting on the couch. He looks very pathetic and his ears are drooping down.
Okay.
And as he gets healthier, his ears go up. So here he is being strong.
And from a podcast perspective, if we like look for pictures and we'll link to the page and everything so you can track his adventures. So what is, I guess we're almost to the end of our hour, but what is, if you could give someone any advice or just any lessons or any type of thoughts from there, or even just one tip from Mr. Vegas Nerve, what would you like the listeners to know or think about or just ponder? Or, maybe just, I know that's a huge, broad question, but
It's a really broad question, but I think that my answer would be that we live in a really, really busy world.
Mhm.
We are so tied to technology and schedules and things like that, that we need stillness.
Mhm.
We need slowing. We need nature.
Mhm.
We need safety.
Right.
That would be probably my summary
No,
in that regard.
I like that because again, it's that thing that we would take a little time for, but I do think that I think that's why I feel like I'm always annoying my clients with like self-care and this and that. But they want to keep running and doing the next class, the next thing, the next thing. And I get it because you're trying to calm your brain because it's being overstimulated constantly.
Well, and it's not like neither one of us
has the same mentality, right?
I mean, daily fitness
right.
and multiple activities and, going lots of places and everything. But I still feel like I have a really good life balance. I take time to turn off everything and tune out. And I think that balance might be my word for the year.
Okay.
I just went hiking last weekend and I went to a place called Balance Rock.
Okay. So it's your sign for the new year.
So that's my sign for the new year, that balance is key, that I can be energetic and enthusiastic, but I can also be silent and still. I can be an excited puppy and I can also be a calm earth mama.
To be honest, as silly as I am with all my things with my cats, they are actually the thing that makes me calm down because in the middle of you're trying to do whatever, and a cat's like, no.
Well, not only that, do your cats purr?
They do.
Well, and how do you think a purr affects the vagus nerve?
I think it stimulates
it's speaking it's speaking the vagus nerve's language.
Right. So again, in the night I sit down, the cat gets in my lap. She's like, "You're done." She lays on my lap and she purrs. The other one's a little more spicy. So, but
so, obviously it doesn't have to be a cat or a dog,
right,
or a pet in any way. It can be you sitting quietly with a comfortable blanket,
right,
and a cup of tea, with your eyes closed and just breathing and enjoying, or sitting outside and just breathing and enjoying, just taking time to breathe, taking time to literally smell the roses.
Right. So your balance.
Yep.
Well, thank you for your time today. And again,
the opportunity. Thank you.
Look for her resources. Look for Mr. Vagus Nerve for some ways that maybe you can incorporate a little bit into your world on a daily basis. And thank you again. Thank you for listening to today's episode. As always, whether we're listening to someone share their expertise in treating an area or just sharing their patient experience, we have also listed any of the resources or how to get hold of the practitioners on the resource page of the website for betterfittherapy.com. Always follow us on social medias, Instagrams, Facebooks for more information. Feel free to reach out or message if you would like to contact or you have additional questions in an area. And again, thank you for listening. We hope that you gained something from today's episode, and we'll see you next time.